Not me starting a new series on the channel and then disappearing for 2 months. Hi. This did not go to plan. I was expecting to be able to keep you guys updated on this way more frequently and for it all to be very different. So I think because, like I mentioned, I've been gone for 2 months, I kind of want to do a reset and kind of give you guys a lowdown of what the hell is happening and what the hell I'm planning to do. I still want to keep this series around on the channel just because I need the accountability to keep my series reading in check. I'm not gonna lie. It is something that is going to be a lifelong issue. I'm quite positive, but I also just like talking to you guys about the series that I'm loving, that I'm continuing, that I finish hopefully at some point. What is going to be happening in this video is I am going to just go back to 0, and I think what I want to do is I'm just gonna talk you through the series that I'm currently in the middle of. Just a little spoiler. I said that the goal of this was to get the series that I'm in the middle of to like 10. That has not happened yet, obviously. I have been in a little bit of a reading slump, just getting out of it, but that has not stopped me. My cat is doing something that she's not supposed to. 1 second. Phoebe! There is a big possibility that this is going to be very much a repeat of the first video, just because, again, I haven't been reading much, so not a lot has changed, but some have changed. So I just want to give you guys the update. If there is a lot of repeats, I apologize, but I feel like we just need to get back to baseline. We need to get back to 0. We need to figure out where the hell we're at this point. So I'm just gonna go and talk you guys through it. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you in order of how much I've completed of this series. The first series that is still on the list is the Belvoir Library series by Alexandra Vasti. This is a historical romance series, which I also read the first 2 books from. I just have the final book to read, which is Ladies in Hating, and I have it planned to read on a readathon currently. I was, now that looking back on it, kind of lucky because I wanted to do the Aurelium readathon and at the same time do the Impling summoning ritual, which is a part of the Aurelium universe. And at first I thought, you know what, this is great, I can double up on all of it. And then if you've seen my Aurelium TBR video, that was not what the creator Aurelium gods had planned. So all of a sudden, my 6 planned books became 12. Luckily, the Aurelium or the Impling summoning ritual I get to finish whenever the hell I feel like it, but I do need to follow a certain order. Anyway, not important for this, but I did pick Ladies in Hating for one of those prompts, so it is on the list. Now, I did start this book a while back, I think like even last year, and did not finish it. It's not because I DNF'd it, it's not because I wasn't enjoying it. It was honestly just because life was happening. But from what I do remember and from what I have read, it was going to be a female and female romance, which I'm very excited about. Seems to be in the vein of enemies to lovers, which again, very much in my realm of what I like to read. So I do know that I'm gonna enjoy this. It's just a matter of finishing it at this point. The next series that I have yet to finish is a series that I know will get finished this year because it is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Now, if you've been living under a rock and did not hear the news, Sarah J. Maas has announced that there's going to be a ACOTAR 6 and 7 coming out, one this year and one next year. And you may have noticed that everyone is now flailing about and trying to finish an entire universe by the time those come out. And for me, that is finishing the Crescent City books. Now, the only book I have left is to read The House of Flame and Shadow. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that currently we are also in the middle of rereading the Throne of Glass series. We're doing a read-along, Donna and myself. And currently we are on the book Heir of Fire. And I don't know what I'm going to do after we finish Throne of Glass. I'm either going to go straight into Crescent City or I'm going to go straight into ACOTAR. I'm not sure yet. So the Crescent City series is definitely going to get finished this year. So with that, obviously, I've already mentioned, Throne of Glass has now also been added to this list because, yes, we are doing the read-along. Now, currently we are on Heir of Fire, so I don't think this is very noteworthy on the list because it's a read-along. It's gonna get finished. We're doing it. The way that it's set up right now, we are supposed to be finishing in August. And after that, it's just gonna be me speeding through all the rest of them. The next series is a series that I have, again, one book left to finish, which is the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir. And again, I know that this is going to get read because Nona the Ninth is the only book that I have left in this series and is also on a TBR. I am planning on maybe finishing this next month because I have a whole plan on what I want to do there. But again, a book that I really want to finish. I really want to get this series done. It's been an interesting ride, to say the least, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to wrap it all up into a neat little bow, hopefully. The next series is kind of a universe, and it is still on the list, which is the Grishaverse by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I finished the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I have read Six of Crows, or reread Six of Crows. I now need to reread Crooked Kingdom and then go into the King of Scars duology, and then I'll be done. I'm not gonna lie, I need to reread Crooked Kingdom is what I said, and I'm not looking forward to that one. Because if you know, you know. I know there's heartache in there, and I am not very much looking forward to that. But again, I don't really know how important it is to get reacquainted with all of the characters and all of the lore for the King of Scars duology. And the last thing I want is to go into King of Scars without having reread like the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology and then be like, I should have like reacquainted myself with this world more, because that would just annoy the hell out of me. So yeah, that is one that needs to be happening, and I'm not, again, looking forward to it. But as I mentioned, and as will be the case with a lot of these, Crooked Kingdom is again on a list of a readathon that I'm doing, a yearly readathon. I think it's the buzzword one. Like I mentioned, I was in a reading slump, so I'm very much behind on all of those yearly readathons, but I do have a plan. The next one is an interesting one. It's the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by Riordan. If you've been around, you know that Ember and myself have been reading Percy Jackson, the series, since last year. And we have finished with the 5 original books that were published in this series. But now, we have decided to jump into Heroes of Olympus, which is, again, a series that is in the Percy Jackson universe. But if you listen to a lot of people's opinions, this is what most people do recommend, to go from the 5th Percy Jackson book, which is the end of the original publishing, to go into the Heroes of Olympus series, and then go back to Percy Jackson and finish the final ones. One of which, by the way, will be getting published soon, I think, because the final one, he has decided to go back to the Percy Jackson series, and apparently it's a trilogy that he wants to add, and only 2 have come out at this point. So at this current point, I only need to read 2 more books in the Percy Jackson series, but I know there's a 3rd coming. Again, we're doing a Percy Jackson read-along, now a Heroes of Olympus read-along. So again, I'm not too worried about this series. Heroes of Olympus is not on there at this current moment on this list because I have not finished the first one. The only series that get added is when the first one is finished. The next series is one that was quite controversial at the beginning of this, which when I started trying to track these series, which is the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. I'm currently in the middle of reading book 3. I am about 50% in, and since page 1, it just took off. And I'm very much enjoying my read of this, and that to me bodes very well. I do hope that I still have the last one to finish, which is Warstorm, and then I do hope that she lands the plane, because we all know that finishing series is not easy. So again, Warstorm is on a TBR, is on a reading challenge. I'm very excited to finish this series. The 3rd one is really, I think, at this point in time, my favorite one, because it really does flow and it really is just going. It kind of gives me, which is not surprising, Mockingjay vibes, Hunger Games Mockingjay vibes, because we're at war. It's just full-blown war. There are some very interesting things happening, and I'm curious to see how this one is going to end. King's Cage. It's gonna be a lot. I know it's gonna be a lot. I know there are things that are gonna happen that are gonna make me emotional, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. And so again, positive outlook, like plans. Drink every time I say the word plans. Don't do that. The next series that I have yet to finish, I think, is a duology at this point. I haven't heard anything about a possible 3rd. There might be, I don't know, but at this point there is not, which is the Villains of Lore series by Jasmine Maas. So I just have yet to read the Bonds of Hercules. I will probably be listening to this instead of reading it, because I listened to the first one and enjoyed it, so obviously we'll want to continue in the same vein. I don't think I have plans on this. I might have. I think I put this on my Romanceopoly TBR, which is something that I really need to get going on. More information is coming. Again, plans. More things are coming, but I think, if I remember correctly, I put that on there for a subgenre of romance that I don't usually read, which is the Why Choose. This was the first time that I read a Why Choose. It wasn't that like outspoken or like that in your face. I think it only really clicked for me in the final chapter, which was really shocking to someone who has not read any of those. So now I kind of just want to dip my toe in further and see if I like it or not. The next series that is on here is a series that I don't even know if I'm gonna get to, which is the Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I listened to the first book and it was just a quick, easy romance read. But there is a sequel, Nothing Like the Movies, I think, is the second book, and a lot of people seem to really like that one, because I think it was on the list of the Goodreads Choice Awards. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna get to this. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. I haven't really heard a lot about this series from people in my vicinity, so I don't feel very motivated to get to it. It's also not the first series that comes to mind that I want to continue when I'm looking for books to fill prompts. So this one might be one of those series that just, silently disappears off the list. Okay, so the next series on this list is the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Now, I have, by this point, read The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, so I did finish another book in this series, but then again, the 5th one in this series is coming out this August, I think it is. And this is one of those series where I think I'm gonna read the novella as well, which is The Vampire Slayer, Conqueror, whatever. Because I did read Six Scorched Roses. I have yet to see why that matters. I think it's gonna matter when I read the 3rd book. I'm on the fence about this series. I enjoyed the 2nd book, but I wasn't crazy about it, if that makes any sense. The love story in it was fine. A lot of the things that were happening, I think this book could have been like 100 pages less, if you ask me. There was a lot of filler, there was a lot of just walking around, and then going into like a shocking event and then going back. It felt like we were getting a lot of emotional stakes that were supposed to rip our hearts out, but I feel like they weren't earned yet. Not to mention that what happens in book 1 almost gets an entire repeat at the end of book 2. And I don't know how to feel about that. I hope that by reading the 3rd book, that is gonna make more sense and actually, I guess, motivate me to keep going. I don't know. I think this might be a series that if I do not enjoy the 3rd book, I might just throw this off. Which is very, very sad because I did very much enjoy the 1st one. So that might be a series that is going to also disappear from this list when I read the next book. The next series that is on the list is the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. Now, I've read the first 2 in this series. This is a sports romance series where you just kind of go down the list of characters. You meet the characters from the next book in the book that you're currently reading, which I very much like to read that way. It kind of fits in romances as well, but yeah, I still have yet to read the final 3. I think it's finished at this point. I don't know if there's a 6th one planned. There might be, but this was one of those series where I was listening to them on audio, and then all of them disappeared off of Storytel. So I just need to buy them on my Kobo is the short end of it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Still very much wanting to, because I really do like her writing. I do like how, again, with a romance, I love 2 people who fall in love and help each other grow. And that is very much the stories that she writes. So I'm curious to see with the 3rd one, which I think is caught up. Very confusing because it is also the 2nd book in another series that is coming up, which is coming next. But yeah, I just need to buy the books. The next series that has the same book title of the next book in the series is the Into Darkness series by Nevessa Allen. Now, I listened to Lights Out and enjoyed it. I wasn't insanely, because it was my first foray into dark romance. I don't know if I expected more, I don't know, but it kind of started dark and then ended not that, intensely. I thought it was going to keep the same intensity throughout. I also did read, or someone did tell me that the 2nd book caught up again, different book, just FYI, is kind of insta-lovey, which isn't really the kind of romance that I enjoy at this point in my life. I might be wrong. There is another book that has also come out by this point in this series, so I have 2 of them to go. But yeah, I think if I don't really enjoy the second one, this might also be a series that's just gonna disappear. That's just gonna go. Because I don't have time to keep giving authors chances. Butcher and Blackbird, I'm looking at you. The next series on the list is the Throne of Glass series. Who is surprised? We're doing a read-along. This is gonna get read. We are currently on Era of Fire. We're gonna finish in August. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'm just going down my list. The next one on the series is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I have only read Aragon, and now we have to move on to Eldest. Now, I do remember me saying in the previous video that this is also a series that I'm on the fence about because it is very long-winded. There is not much happening in like 80% of the book, and then in the final 20%, everything kicks off. Now, I've only read the first one, so I don't know how that's gonna go for the second one, because obviously now things have kicked off. And now I just need to see whether that trend continues in the second one. If it does, I will be continuing the series. If it doesn't, yeah, that's just not gonna get read. I'm very sorry. But just because I like my stories to move. I have also read a fantasy series, if you've been around, the John Gwynne series, The Faithful and the Fallen. This also has sometimes not much happening in a book for a very long time. But the thing that keeps me intrigued on that is because we change POVs a lot during those books, and we travel around the place everywhere, and you kind of have to pick up on the signs and pick up on who is moving where and what they're actually doing and what the effect is going to be on other people and other characters in another point in time. That keeps me intrigued, and that keeps me like engaged and locked in to keep going. Now, with Aragon, obviously we only have Aragon's POV, so that means that we only have the one thing. We only have one point where information gets brought in, and that just doesn't seem to like keep my attention as much as I would like. Again, I don't have time to read books that I don't enjoy and that I feel like I need to get through book 1 and 2 before it really starts to become enjoyable. I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. Now we have 2 more series left to go. One is the All Souls series by Deborah Harkness. Now this, like Rick Riordan, like Christopher Paolini, was a done, finished series, and then they decided to add to it. Now, this is also a series, like a TV series, and I've watched that. That kind of overtook my reading experience because I was reading the first book, saw it was a series, kind of jumped into the TV series, and then forgot about the books. But now, obviously, Deborah Harkness has written more books added onto the trilogy, so now we have to read all of them, obviously. I am currently in the middle of the second book, Shadow of Night. This is also on the Impling TBR series. This is also on the Impling TBR, I should say. And it's the first book that I need to read in the sequence. So, again, this is something that I do want to accomplish, this Impling summoning ritual, preferably by the next semester, which is in September. So I do have some time left. But, so again, this is one of those series that I do very much want to continue. The only thing is with the Shadow of Night book is we go back in time to ye olde England, and there is a lot of history in those books, or in this book particular. I don't know about the other ones as of yet, but there's a lot of history, and it's making me want to dive into English history as a whole, because I'm very intrigued by all of these characters that we're meeting, because some of them, there is a list at the back of the book that describes which characters in the book are actual characters from history, and you can look up and figure out who they actually are and read about their life and what they were doing. So it's fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's fun to read about England and about the good olden days. Obviously there weren't the good olden days. There was like famine and disease and witch trials and people being burned alive. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So still very excited to continue this, and then just finishing the trilogy. I will be rewatching the show, don't you worry. And then just going back into the next one, which I think is going to focus on Marcus, if I'm not wrong. So the final series on this list is a series that wasn't on here last time, but I have talked about it in a previous video, and again, I do have plans to read the second one, which is the series Before the Coffee Gets Cold by, and I don't want to get this wrong, by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Which is a series basically about a cafe where you go and you can drink coffee, and that coffee, or when the coffee gets poured, you are able to travel back in time or forward in time. Whatever floats your boat. That has been the book, I'm pretty sure, that got me out of my reading slump. It felt like a collection of short stories, but every story just held such a lovely life message, and I read it at a point where I very much needed it. I did cry by the end of this book, which, if you know, readers don't get deterred by the fact that a book makes them cry. On the contrary. So now I'm very curious to see what else is in store, because it did kind of feel like it could be a book that was just like a finished work. But I'm very curious to see what the author comes up with during the other 5 books. If we stay in the cafe, are there more than one cafe? It is a medium through which I think you can tell a lot of amazing stories. This formula is very easy to just transfer to anything else, and it's just it was just a lovely experience to read, and I very much want to continue this series. And just, it was wholesome, but it was heart-wrenching at times, so you know, sometimes we just need that. So if we tally all of that up, at the end we get to 15 series on the go and 39 books that need to get read. This is starting to feel like a chore that will never end. Again, this is going to be something that is going to be ongoing, I'm very sure. Having or getting this under 10 series by the end of the year is starting to feel quite ambitious, because a few of these series are just going to get switched out. Like Crescent City is going to get switched out for ACOTAR, and then obviously Throne of Glass might disappear, but then like obviously Percy Jackson is going to get switched out for Heroes of Olympus, and then it's going to switch back to Percy Jackson. So yeah, interesting. It's going to get interesting, to say the least. One of the things that might throw a wrench in everything is the fact that I'm also doing our fantasy at this point in time, and some of those were to read duologies, and a lot of the books that are on that TBR are part of a series. So if I want to finish the R Fantasy or do a blackout board for R Fantasy, I will be adding a lot of series on this list. For the next video in this series, I think it won't be like this. The next video, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the graphic on the screen that you've seen, and then we're just going to go and we're going to talk about the books that I finished, the books that I started, where we are. It's just going to be an update. It's not going to be a like let's just go over all of them once again. It's just because I was gone for 2 months and I needed to kind of regroup myself to see where I was at. So that is why I decided to do this kind of video. But for the next one, I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit shorter because I can see the timer and it's again. The next one I'm hoping is going to be a lot shorter because we're just going to do updates on the 15 series that I have, maybe series that I've started, hopefully series that I've finished. But that is going to be it for me today. If you are currently on the same struggle bus when it comes to series, please let me know what series are top of mind for you, what series you really want to get to this year, or what series you're really looking forward to finishing. And I will talk to you all in the next video.